تعود تجاه هذيك الديتيلز عندك باش you provide your abstract. okay so أنا ديما personal يعني فهمت I always prefer يعني abstract over the executive summary. علاش؟ على خاطر you will be providing an introduction. Well, introduction, that's really one of the important part of your thesis. okay يعني executive summary باش يكون like the introduction ومش it's not as relevant as the introduction. So personally I always يعني prefer that you start with an abstract اللي هو كيقول abstract يعني you won't actually exceed 250 words. نحكي على كلمة 250 word تحسبها حتى على الجوجل على شو اسمه وورد ما يلزمكش تفوتهم. كي نحكيو على ال 250 يعني what will be provided, for example if you will be writing I don't know 20 to 30 pages but you have to provide a summary, a brief summary, concise summary of all of your thesis. So it will be very short. أنا ديما نقولوا it's the skeleton of your research, of your thesis. يعني you will provide what you will be, for example, addressing, the objective, the methodology and the result in a brief and concise way. يعني ما نفوتوش 250 words. حتى فما even فما some scientific maybe journals كنا نحكيو على scientific committee they even community even requires they require for example 150 words. okay no more. بعد ما of course هذه the last thing that you'll be doing. okay مش باش تبدا بيها عندك abstract, introduction and conclusions. They are the last part that you will be drafting in your thesis. okay but أنا just هنا نحكي على the order on how you will be structuring your thesis. okay community to the maybe the business in general, etc. Our businesses, for example, they are focusing on sustainability pressures. I don't know, from all over the world, from ONGs, from investors, from politicians, etc. So you have actually to say, if you choose that topic, why you are interested, the context and motivation, why it is interesting to talk to us about that specific topic. okay once you already talked about the context and motivation, this is what we call the background, the how, excuse me سنة بالله خطر هاي السلايدز. So the second question is how is the topic is being studied. So هنا of course you will be providing the research objective and how you will be meeting that research objective. هنا please just one thing, and I prefer always that after the context and motivation you will move on just quickly to talk about the research question. يعني what is being studied. يعني in particular when, for example, the context is that, for example, we talk about sustainability that is emerging, that is, of course, let's say it's an urgent topic because, of course, of the climate change, because of, I don't know, rise, for example, of awareness regarding all of these, of course, topics in general, etc. That's the context, that's the motivation. Particularly your research question, in particular, for example, how businesses, for example, they are reporting about that. Of course, if there is, for example, I don't know, what are the factors that are explaining, for example, this shift toward, for example, sustainability reports or whatever. I'm just saying some examples. Donc هنا من context, من motivation تمشي تعطيني what you call your research question, your research problem. يعني what is your, in particular, the question that you are trying to answer. And of course, this research question will be answered based on how you will be, of course, answering that question. يعني the methodology that you will be using. And of course, يعني in the introduction also نجم نحطوا after the research objective and of course methodology نمشيو نحطوا just summary of results اللي انتم خدتوهم. يعني تقول summary راهو نحكي على sentences 1 2 sentences etc. to just summarize your results. okay so هذه in brief of course the introduction. طبعا ما تقولكم من الدوكيمنت هذا حضرتوا تقراوا بعضكم
حتى هذيك الشيء باش نسألك ماذا.
yes any question
ايه جست باش نقول لك مدام can you بعد send us the document.
ايوه sure of course. انا
Thank
نبعث
you.
لك I will share it يعني on Teams the full other documents that I have. Okay. بعد of course after the introduction زي ما قلت now let's start introduction conclusion. These are the last part that you will be drafting in your dissertation. يعني احنا تبدأ تحكي على التوبيك متاعك. Of course you will be addressing your subject there, your topic. You will start of course with what we call literature review, systematic literature review. What is a literature review? So simply you will be reading different really wide array of sources, and you will be, I don't know, consulting scientific databases كما قلت لكم like Elsevier, Wiley, Emerald, Tyler Wright Francis, all of this stuff. Of course, Google Scholars you'll be using to what? To look for scientific papers that dealt with your, let's say, general topics, that dealt with sustainability, that dealt, for example, with ethics and accounting, that dealt, I don't know, with earning management, with, I don't know, with fraud, with anything that you are, for example, tackling in your, with auditing, for example, in your subject, for example, I don't know, special mission for auditing, ولا any topic that you are, of course, interested in, اللي انت بتخدم عليه, you will have to make a systematic literature review for it. So you will consult, as I said, wide range of sources, including scientific databases. You will also be able to check professional reports. كنا نحكيو على professional must be, of course, of really يعني well known, like كما قلت لكم أنا World Bank, for example. نحكيو على for example لا Swiss Bank Public Accounting, so ACPA هذيك like PAM تاع أمريكا for example, FASB for example pronouncement, or International Accounting Standard Board. يعني عندنا of course professional bodies اللي هما they are of course of prominent here reputation, اللي تخلينا of course they are credible sources. You can also have, I don't know, can I حتى for example يعني specialize for example press article whatever يعني تكون معروفة في Wall Street Journal or whatever يعني it's okay. ما ممكن ما قلت مش انفستوبيديا ومش موجودين just السيت هكاك ويب اللي هما just عندهم جوجلي وكل كوبي وبعد تحطهم لكم references. It's not really credible as I said sources too. Proceed with this literature review, okay? So in the literature review, you consult all of this stuff, of course. You read this papers, this of course report, etc. You will, of course, you're interested in some of the content or of the information, etc. that is about what? About your topic. For example, sustainability. For example, the factors that are impacting sustainability reports. مثلا, corporate size, I don't know, corporate listing, performance, for example, of businesses, financial performance, so whatever. These are maybe the factors that are likely to, let's say, impact the financial reports or the sustainability reports. So you'll be looking at papers that dealt with that, of course, variables or whatever. So you will be covering all of these early researches. You will be summarizing this research. Every, for example, interesting paper, you will be summarizing. And then نحكيو على critical summary because you will be just saying what was done and what isn't also done. And هذاك you are actually making that contribution. They focused on, for example, I don't know, for financial firms, for example, you will be focusing on all types, for example, of firms, not only financial. I don't know, they tackle it only firm level, for example, variables. You will be looking for country level variables. I don't know, they tackle it, for example, just determined of sustainability reports. We will be talking about the assurance, for example, reports, اللي هو كما حكينا other types of auditing missions, etc. You will be providing what was done in early, of course, papers that is related to the subject matter, but still, of course, in critical way. So you'll be providing what was done and what is left actually to be done, and of course, what is left that you will be building up in that. You will be, let's say, providing that contribution to that literature. So if you provide that systematic review literature, you will be able, after that, to provide your hypotheses. يقولوا hypotheses يعني you know, you have a research question and you are trying to answer that research question. So if you will be able to answer that question, you will have to, let's say, first posit some hypothesis. For example, I say that firm size will be positively related, for example, to the, I don't know, to the extent of sustainability reports or sustainability information in annual reports. I don't know, for example, polluting firms, for example, they can have some proxies like the age of its asset, for example. The older the asset, the polluting will be, for example, considered the firm. Polluting firms will be have the tendency to what? To increase their, for example, sustainability information in their annual reports. Yeah, and this is the example of what? Of hypotheses that I will be drafting from, of course, that early literature review and based, of course, on my research question that I'm trying to answer. Okay. Once I cover the literature review and, of course, derived my hypotheses, والhypotheses راهو généralement فما شكون يحطوها في الميثودولوجي يعني it's okay يعني whether you will be just after the literature review يعني تحط literature review and hypothesis development وإلا methodology وتبدأوا you provide the hypothesis before providing the other details, okay? But in the methodology, in a chapter, what is important is that you will be discussing your method used, of course, to gather data. And if you will be, for example, as I said, looking for the determinant of the factors influencing the extent of sustainability information in annual reports, what you'll be doing is that you will be, for example, providing the regression model, and you will be expressing, as I said, the content, the extent of sustainability information as a function of all, for example, these firm level variables like firm size, polluting firm listing, for example, status, performance, financial performance, or whatever. So you will have actually to provide your regression method, regression, of course, model, variable definitions, sample for selection, data collection, all of this stuff will be outlined and will be, let's say, discussed and explained in this methodology section. Okay, so now it's all about, of course, the methodology that you choose. Yani whether it is quantitative or qualitative. نقول quantitative. So as explained before, يعني it will be based on what? On financial and quantitative data, like I just explained. يعني عندي regression model, عندي variables that are quantitative, they are financial, يعني we collect them in quantitative. يعني عندي كما قلت firm size, عندي performance, عندي content of or the quantity or the extent of sustainability information. يعني we can measure that, they are measurable. Well, you can, of course, opt for qualitative in case it is qualitative, so you will be basing your research on surveys, on, of course, collection of opinions, etc. And of course, quantitative or qualitative depends on the possibility to implement quantitative. It is not possible, so you will be using the qualitative, or even if, of course, you think that qualitative is the most suitable method. But of course, both will have what? Let's say its specific way of course dealing with the data that you have. Of course, يعني qualitative, when you have surveys, you have to كما حكيت وقتها you have questionnaires, you have to draft different types of questions, وفمك السكيلز Likert scales or whatever. بعد كده تخرج منهم يعني تعمل summary analysis of the answers, وتخرج منهم, of course, general conclusions. يعني هذوما, of course, يعني بالحق we don't have really enough time, and it's not my job actually to explain this, but you can read about them. يعني the once you decide, or with your, of course, supervisor, how you will be tackling that subject, and of course the method that you'll be using, you will learn more about, of course, the method, whether it is a regression, as I said, quantitative or qualitative, if it is just, as I said, based on surveys, etc. Okay. After, of course, you highlighted all the all the details in your methodology, you'll be, of course, as I said, showing your results. Okay. So now, of course, you will be outlining what you found in your research in relation to your research question and hypotheses. Of course, هناك نحكيو على results, so you'll be providing tables, of course, or maybe some sketches, I don't know, graphs, etc. To summarize, of course, the results. And in general, ديما نحطوا results and discussions. Just divided both result and discussion to just explain. يعني راهو وقت اللي we present results, so tables, summary, graphs, etc. بعديك, of course, we need actually to discuss them. So it's not only enough that we will be just presenting. I don't know. I found that firm size is, for example, positively related to the extent of sustainability information. That's your result, but that's not enough. You have to actually analyze and interpret that result. Okay, explain what they mean. Okay, in relation, of course, to your research and even to the prior literature. Okay, so now it's important that you provide a discussion. So you provide explanation of your results. حتى كان فما unexpected results, you have also to explain them. Of course, هنا كان فما, let's say, non-significant result, we just need to show them, not to interpret. يعني هنا نحكي على significant result. يعني كنقول significant, you may be, of course, هنا familiar with the regression, for example, regression analysis, for example, linear regression. تعرفوا لي, for example, على significant, non-significant result. So significant result, this result that must be interpreted or analyzed. Non-significant one, we just need to highlight them. We don't need to explain them. Okay. So this is, of course, about the discussion, and last, of course, the conclusion. The conclusion is that you will have what? You will be providing a summary of your thesis. A summary, because you will start by your research objective. What was your objective? How you actually tackled that objective, the result, so the methodology, the result, etc. All of what you did, you will be summarizing in the conclusion. And of course, you will be what? You will be also pointing out the limitation of your study. Okay, still, it is just a thesis. It is just, I don't know, one perspective. It was limitation by the availability, for example, of data, limitation by the time, limitation, of course, of the scope even of your research, etc. Okay, so it's important that you provide. يعني هو راهو اي حتى احنا اللي شيخ سواء صغار ولا كبار ما تلقاش شكون ما يحطلكش limits of their studies. علاش؟ على خاطر it's always يعني ما تقولوش اللي سافا اوكي كو سورت يعني it will be downgrade. يعني let me use this word, your thesis. No, بالعكس يعني it shows that you are aware about what you did, what you contributed, what is your original contribution, but at the same time it is not of course free from any limitations that you have to briefly discuss them. From these limitations, actually, other researchers or other interested maybe students in the future, they will be building on your work, and of course, let's say, tackle this limitation with another work. Okay. Of course, you'll be talking about what you learned from that, of course, journey, all of the stuff. You make suggestions for future research. تحكيهم even على implications for example, your work you did. يعني يقول contribution يعني how it will be, for example, important, its implication for the scientific community, for the professionals, for even for government, for learning, for example, in general. So you have many implications that you can outline also in the conclusion. Okay. So this is, of course, the let's say quick presentation of the content of course of your thesis. Okay. let me just share another paper هناك نحكيو على I will just share just a word paper it is more about of course an internship يعني layout هنا just to قاعدين نشوفوا فيها الباك بورد هذه
ايمن ده
اوكي دونك هنا يعني just quick هنا يعني in the same of course direction of what we were discussing هنا donc you will be structuring your thesis your dissertation of course you start with cover page يعني فيها title فيها of course يعني internship for example company whatever كما قلت عندكم abstract ولا keywords also يعني you can have also mention some keywords على خاطر if you are for example will be let's say looking for I don't know specific keywords you will find of course your work donc عندكم acknowledgement بعد table of contents so هنا plot but it is of course detailed plan of your thesis يعني with all of the sections chapters etc that you included فما حتى of course the table of tables if you are including many tables or graphs etc so you have to include it then of course you have to prepare your introduction كما قلنا introduction هنا general statement donc نرجع لحكاية context motivation why you are interested in that topic etc managerial gap so now you research question and so on donc in particular you are here making an internship okay so now of course you'll be talking about your making the descriptive section about the company the vision mission values etc هنا بعد introduction of course donc قلنا introduction عندك general statement managerial gap يعني كما قلت research question objective all of this stuff بعد كده تتعدوا تعملوا بارتي شابيتر على الكامباني بتاعكم بعد كده عندكم analysis section هنا donc contribution action and contribution of course to fill the gap donc هنا it's all about your internship so هنا it depends on what on the problem to be treated and may require qualitative or quantitative data collection and analysis بعد عندكم of course recommendation and a conclusion as I explained يعني please هنا to tell what I'm trying to tell is that you see هنا what is different from what I just provided here that you will be of course including a descriptive section about your company your vision mission values and also let's say the different guidelines and the different maybe tasks you already done within the internship بتاعكم به alors بلاي juste voilà هذايا خاطر c'est un document en français je pense que je l'ai téléchargé mais c'était pas par rapport à voilà c'était par rapport à les mobiles in fact في other يعني business schools but it's also relevant for you donc كما قلت هنا نحكيو على الانترنشيب donc عندك en général you have to give a general idea about your work so كما قلت لكم little context donc يقول لنا الكونتكست de la recherche ولا context وقت اللي انت تعمل في stage يعني including of course the subject that you are احنا we are supposed that you will be doing your internship and the internship is intimately related to the subject that you are dealing with that's of course in theory in reality I don't know of course what is happening but I guess that you have to do your best of course to link both okay donc عندك la problématique كما قلنا research problem what is the question that you are trying to answer throughout of course your internship what is of course the methodology that you are using and of course هنا نحكيو على you have to explain or just give what will be يعني هنا announce the plan يعني حتى في آخر l'introduction on annonce généralement what is left actually, what will be found in the following, of course, pages. And it will be, for example, chapter 1, chapter 2, 3, or section 1, 2, 3, etc. Okay? Donc, بعديك أنتم en tant qu'internship, you'll be what? Talking about diagnostic de la situation à la présentation d'entreprise. Donc, كما نحكيو, you'll be presenting an overview of your internship هنا firm يعني. Donc, تحكي عليها l'historique نتاعها, etc. l'activité. انت فين, for example, in which department, for example. كيف mission كنت فيه, يعني شنو ما task that you were doing, ولا البروبلماتيك aussi, يعني what you will be tackling, etc. Donc, femme chapitre de déroulement du stage. Donc, comment ça se passe le stage نتاعك, عملت les activités menées, so this daily, for example, I don't know, work, or يعني راهو content, it's actually up to you to doing. خاطر انتم bien sûr vous êtes en train de faire l'internship, so you'll have to, let's say, as I said, provide a storytelling about what was your experience regarding, of course, the mission وإلا the task that you were, of course, entitled to during that internship. Okay? Donc عندكم هنا bien sûr يعني كي نحكيو على the task that you will be doing, you will be also, let's say, making this literature review. خاطر راهو شفتوا هنا كان نشوف الدوكيمون نحكيو على le sujet اللي تخدم عليه انت. Tu vas le lier avec les concepts théoriques, les fondements théoriques, donc la literature review that you are actually using to tackle that subject or to undertake these tasks, etc. Okay? بعد باش نمشي للresults كما حكينا, donc methodology, result discussion and conclusion, donc conclusion كما قلنا. Donc tu te rappelles كما قلت لك summary of all what you did. Donc le rapport généralement de 20 à 30 pages. Bien sûr عندكم le caractère interligne, donc bien sûr la forme. Bref, c'est important alors de soigner la forme. Les étudiants يجيبونا des rapports imprimés, etc. Alors que تحلوا ماشي هيك حتى تقرا على خاطر la forme elle est franchement c'est mais il y a pas eu, elle n'était pas faite, elle n'était pas soignée, et ça aussi là c'est contre. Alors moi je parle le contenu, mais aussi la forme, soigner bien la forme, يعني respecter les tout c'est le caractère, le style يعني, etc. Tout ça c'est important. Donc عندك page de garde, versement, etc. sommaire, table de matière avec un content. باهي حاجه voilà هاني جيت هنا les références bibliographiques. كي نحكيو احنا please على introduction, literature review, result, discussion, all of this stuff. يعني throughout the thesis نتاعك you will be, let's say, elaborating, drafting, analyzing, providing definitions, كما قلت you will be structuring, you will be providing hypotheses, etc. So اللي باش تكتبوه الكل, of course, قلنا it will be based on varied sources. يعني قلنا scientific databases, يعني scientific papers ولا thesis or whatever, academician, for example, report, professional reports, etc. So you will be, ولا حتى website, etc. So every time you will be using, or you will be, let's say, basing what you write, what you are drafting on that specific, I don't know, paper, ولا reference, ولا website, etc. You have to mention it. First of all, within the thesis. Donc, just نحب نوريكم an example كيفاش we provide references. Okay? Donc, كان باش نرجع أنا حتى un des papiers سنة لحظة نلوجو please, I will share it. معايا تبع فيها please.
أي مدام.
Yes, we do, ma'am.
Okay, good. Just one.
No, I didn't get it from the start. It's your class.
لحظة.
من PhD هذيك we develop our research papers whatever. يعني كما نقول un papier راهو c'est en quelque sorte une forme réduite d'une يعني d'une thèse ولا d'un mémoire de master ou whatever. Okay, so please هنا شوفوا هنا عنا هو it's paper هنا the subject was about what the credit worthiness is bank credit worthiness associated with risk disclosure behavior. Evidence from Islamic and conventional banks in emerging countries. Okay, donc هنا we are trying to test whether risk disclosure behavior actually is related to bank credit worthiness. يعني it will be impacting the credit worthiness of banking, Islamic and conventional banks in emerging countries. Okay, donc هنا شفتوا هنا الابستراكت. الابستراكت just هنا provides the objective of the research. So we investigated if banks with higher risk disclosure scores benefited from higher credit rating relative to banks with weaker risk disclosure scores. In addition, we investigated if Islamic banks could exert positive effects on this on their credit rating. بعديك, of course, نحكيو هنا عن methodology by employing a sample of 169 banks observed over the period, etc. span هذيك, and after controlling for bank-specific risk characteristics, we documented. So هنا نحكيو عن results. We provided that high credit risk rating scores were keen to preserve an upper level of credit risk transparency when compared to banks with lower credit rating. بعديك keep still talking about the result. The positive association between credit rating and risk disclosure is more pronounced for conventional banks than for Islamic banks, etc. Okay, so this is just, as I said, the abstract. So the objective, methodology, and results. For the introduction, we'll have, of course, to provide more details. كما قلنا نحكيو على context, motivation, our context, financial crisis, credit rating, that is, of course, important. The importance, شفتوا هنا the importance of credit rating has followed extensive research on rating determinants. Donc هنا نحكيو على what motivated actually and how we will be contributing. Okay? Despite the growing interest in etc., little attention has been paid. We نحكيو على shortcomings in the early literature that, of course, yielded to what? To our, for example, paper or our work. Okay? Donc هنا هنا, of course, مش باش نرجع نحكي برشا please على introduction, but just to show you that this is the structure. بعد l'objective نحكيو فما هنا research problem. حتى كان ما فماش question يعني mark راهو ما فما research problem هنا provided. بعديك results شفتوا هنا contribution هيك the study contributes. So هنا of course what we did, what was actually new compared to what was done. بعديك هنا ريتو the plan, the reminder, the organization of section 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. هذاك just quick. وترجعوا لأي راهو scientific paper يعني you can read, you will see the same way of presenting, of course, research. Okay, now please هنا كنجو نحكيو على literature review. شفتوا هنا literature review and hypothesis development. What we, as I said, نحكيو عليه. هنا نحكيو على credit ratings, etc. They are important to businesses, etc. how they are related to risk information. شفتوا هنا هالinformation هذية ولا two small sentences, they were what? Inspired from what? Bozanic and Kraft 2014. Donc هنا that's the reference that I use to say that credit analysts are sophisticated analysts are sophisticated users of financial information. Their primary task is to gather, process, and eventually uncover private information about borrowers. They transform that information into rating, which are shared and interpreted usually by capital providers. يعني هل just need two sentences to define who are the credit analysts. I use it, I provide it, of course, with our own words, but of course it is based on what was, as I said, defined in Bozanic and Kraft. Donc هنا, please, what you will be always, que ce soit, يعني, providing, you have to provide the references. شفتوا هنا a series of paper هنا, Kaplan, Campbell, etc., Bozanic and Kraft, etc., suggest that some of the information relevant to rating debt commitment is qualitative, such as narrative disclosure, etc. Donc هنا, everything that we draft, وقت اللي نعمل progress in the all the literature review, we have to mention and cite what was the basis for that sentence, for that paragraph, etc. We use, of course, the information, what was the source of information, your references, okay? هنا of course how to cite the references within the text. يعني كما قلت تنجم تبدا به من الأول for example كما هنا in relation to the banking system for example الIMF 2017 argues that banks' common performance are not the sole source of information. For example, هنا you cite directly الأمر what of course 2017 in his paper what he said about banks' performance. Okay. تنجم كما the other example تبدا تحكي for example you will be defining one topic or discussing an issue وفي الآخر تحط for example what was of course your reference. يعني كما هنا par exemple وقت اللي عملنا definition حكينا على definition بتاع credit analysis بعد حطينا entre parenthèses اللي هو Bozanic and Kraft 2014. اوكي دونك عندكم of course شفتوا هنا for example هنا نحكيو على الإسلاميك بانكس. شنو ما the specific features جبنا عملنا tout un paragraph we detail what was of course specific characteristics of Islamic banks. بعد جينا حاطينا في الآخر شكون منين جبناهم هذوما من عند Radzi and Lonik 2016. So this is the reference for what was outlined هنا in this let's say paragraph. Okay. Donc, عندكم two ways. تبدأ for example the sentence or paragraph according to an author that you mention وإلا for example كما قلنا الأمر 2017 argues ولا indicate or whatever وإلا you develop your entire paragraph by your own words and then you will just mention of course the reference at the end of that paragraph etc. Donc, this is how to cite within the text. Okay. دونك يقول you cite what يعني انت باش تحط الاوثرز يعني اللي هو اسمه الاولاني في البيبر ولا corresponding author احنا نقولوا له ولا يعني نتاع البيبر was published. Okay. هذيا what will be included within the text نعاود in the introduction, in the literature review, in the methodology. Even if you will be using, for example, some econometric, I don't know, tips or whatever, if you will be defining, for example, your qualitative research, you'll be talking, for example, about the importance of survey. I don't know. You will be saying this, of course, stuff based on what you read in papers, in books, or whatever. So you have to cite those work that you use it to as I said, to elaborate, to draft, to write something about, of course, your topic or your section or whatever. Okay. Donc, شفتوا هنا حتى هنا في sample and data حتى how we for example measure or we collect data we based for example on early papers, on early work that we mentioned. Okay. Even though of course it was of course your work, how you measure for example the variable measurement, كيفاش you measure that, it's based also on other works. Okay. When you base of course or when you cite reference, it will give, let's say, strong validity to your work. على خاطر you are not, let's say, developing something from scratch or something that is not really sustained by other academic papers. يعني انت وقت اللي عندك other scientific papers that are published and you follow their method, of course you build up in that method, that's of course gives also validity to your work. يعني بالعكس يعني راهو الريفرنسز هي اللي باش تعطي قيمة لخدمتك، مش ماهيش يعني حاجة تنقص منها، او كونتخير راهو كيما تحطوهمش سي دي بلاجيا، كيما تحطوهمش راكم سارقين خدمة غيركم. اوكي. So this is the citation how it will be cited. كيما شفتوا هنا ديما نحطوا of course كان عندنا only one author. For example, تحطوا I don't know we know for example هنا Krippendorf there, for example statistic هنا Krippendorf 2004, that's only one author. If there is many authors, for example 2, you have to mention both Beretta and Bozolan 2004, Linsley and Travis, for example 2006. If it is for example many authors, for example Moumeniol 2000 يعني à partir من 3 نولي نقولوا et on فهمت 2015 2016 etc. Okay. Donc هنا هذوما please راهم you can read about citation according to the APA style. تلقاهم على just google it you'll find it. Okay. بعد هذيك as I said within the يعني the thesis يعني من داخله في content في what you write. عاوش نجيو هنا توا list شفتم اللي احنا what we cited الكل هنا يلزمني نلقاهم الاخر هنا reference. شفتوا هنا reference اللي أنا all the authors that we consulted and we use it to draft our paper, they will be listed هنا في reference section. باهي كيفاش we list them? There are, as I said, specific style. The specific style اللي احنا we use it is the APA style. خاطر علاش؟ If it is a scientific paper in a journal, there is a way to provide that. If it is book, also there is a way to provide that. If style, I mean, if it is, for example, only working paper, يعني a paper that is in progress, it's not yet published, but it can be, for example, from the SSR, هذاك social network, SRN, حاسي طويلة هذيك. Donc you have, it is working paper, still it is interesting, you can also mention that, but as I said, يعني when we cite or we provide a list of references for scientific paper, for a book, for working paper, for I don't know, professional reports, it's not the same. Okay, donc عنا one way of presenting. يعني for example, how just هنا نحكيو على scientific papers. Okay, هنا for example ناخد just أول واحد هنا يجيني أبيدافر مولينو etc. تغازي 2018. donc نحطو the three authors names نتاعهم وراه توا عندكم avec l'intelligence artificielle avec Zotero etc. you have just to I don't know to Google هال article هو يعطيك بعد كده how to cite it يعني just to copy paste وكاو. But for your information, donc we mention all the authors names, date, بعد كده نحطوا الارتيكل title مثلا هنا non-interest income and banking lending هاكا شفتوها ماهوش. بعد كده نحطوا journal اللي هو journal of banking and finance هو en général راهو هذيا تتحط on italic. بعد كده نحطوا هنا الفوليوم for example how it was يعني شنو number volume و number of pages يعني هالارتيكل هذا it was published in journal of banking and finance volume 87 from pages from 418 to 426. هذيا for a journal for example for a scientific paper and published in journal. For example هنا نحكيو على book. A book for example how Ahmed H. Khan T. etc. 2007 risk management in Islamic banking. So in what handbook of Islamic banking. So هذا شابيت خاطر من كتاب handbook of Islamic banking. So فمش إيطاليك هنا هاكا Edward Elgar publishing. So هنا الإديشن هي Edward Elgar publishing. Okay. كان عندك for example كما هنا نحكي لك على working paper ها Campbell Luminity etc. 2017 making sense of soft information interpretation bias and loan quality. donc تحطوا ال SSRN هذا يسكول paper number كذا كذا Rochester New York etc. و you can even حتى تحطوا يعني retrieve it ولا you consult it online وقتاش. okay. هذوما this is of course the main let's say كان عندك I don't know كما قلت أنا rapport مثلا I don't know if there is any for example هاو rapport من professional organization like Moody's Moody's special command. It was published on 1993. What was of course the title for that report? Moody's approach to the credit analysis of bank and bank holding companies. It was of course provided by Moody's Investor Services in New York, etc. Okay, donc High Morgan DP 2002 rating bank risk and uncertainty in the bank industry. I think it was of course published in review. يعني it's possible that you use of course as I said or any interesting high standard and post 2008 corporate rating criteria for example from one website. You see, so you'll be using any as I said important relevant credible source. You will cite of course that source. يعني احنا وقت اللي يستعمل مثلا ويب سايت ماكش باش تجي في وسط التكست باش تحط الويب سايت ما تنجم تحط فوت نوت وتحط الويب سايت من لوطا. اوكي والا كما قلت يعني citation about of course scientific papers يعني the authors نتاعهم والديت والا البوكس و whatever authors date كيف حتى thesis لو تنجم تستعملوا also PhD والا bon ديما PhD خير من bien sûr من ماستر يعني it is more let's say يعني مش credible but well grounded يعني scientifically نحكي يعني فهمت. So this is about the how to cite. لحظة برك نرجع لل document. Okay, for the handbook. Donc just نرجع ل what was explaining regarding les références. Donc les références bibliographiques كما قلت they are really important. وراهو ما تخليش روحكم comment dire les critiques et les critiques supéraux des jurys على خاطر if you want to provide the appropriate references cited within the text and also provided the all what you cited in the text must be listed at the end in the reference section. راهو of course in appropriate style. هنا قلت لكم APA you have to take notes of that APA style. That's what we are using. راهو you will be critically criticized by the member of jury, as I said, considered as plagiarism. Okay, donc c'est important de faire ça et de soigner les références. If you have any annexes, of course you can provide it in the appendix. You provide any additional results or for example information about your company for example. Ça va être lourd يعني باش تحطها في التكست within the text. Of course you can provide it in the appendix if you think of course it is interesting ولا it's important to provide. Okay, donc ما نحكيوش bien sûr على les paginations les pages doivent être paginées etc. والordre aussi يعني please the table of content must be flowed. يعني انت باش تحط لي chapter 1 chapter 2 chapter 3 within chapter 1 section 2 3 etc. Don't forget that for every chapter we'll start with introduction and also conclusion يعني brief ones of course يعني donc all of these details must be of course يعني you have to comply with. Okay, do you have any questions? هذا نتذكر هذا c'était mini senior project مش mini that I downloaded just to show it for students. أنا بعثولكم en tout cas maybe it will be helpful. وشفتوا هنا bien sûr هذا اللي تعمل في يجي وقتها ديما مش يجي ديجا 2015 شفتوا voilà في يجي mais it can be of course really helpful. I don't know هذول اللي أنا كملت شنو الحشي منقول. كان عندكم please questions.
Yes.
Please do now. خلينا we discuss it and we end that session as soon as possible. Okay?
مدام I have questions.
Bien sûr. تفضل مريم قل.
مدام في البارتي اللي باش نعملوا فيها يعني regression model و qualitative analysis كل شيء قديش معناها لازم من response we gather ومعناها شنو النمبر اللي انتوما معناها تقبلوا انه we do analysis based on شنو المينيموم ولا يعني شنو الجايدلاينز في البارتيه هذيك.
That's really interesting. اسمعني راهو honestly يعني باش نحكيو على let's say scientific work اللي هو خاطر احنا كي نحكيو على topic that you will be question that you will be answering والانسر نتاعك يعني it will be let's say relevant to هذا أخذته مانيش نخدم في خدمة مش لافوار هناك ولا من يعني you will do something that let's say it will be beneficial to the as I said to the academic community to professional to scholars to whatever. Donc لازم ce qu'on appelle une validité interne قبل ما نحكيو حتى على validité externe. ايش هي الفاليديتي انترن اللي هي مينيموم جينيرالمون لي نومبر دوبسيرفاسيون باش يكونوا مينيموم 30 خاطر ماك تعرفوا بور لا لوا نورمال اكسيتيرا دونك اون دو افوار مينيموم اوبسيرفاسيون وحتى بور لي ريغريشن اكسيتيرا ديما جينيرالمون يزيدوا مينيموم 30. اوكي هذايا le minimum bien sûr. نعرف اللي pour vous par exemple dans des cas اللي هو صعيب باش تاخذ حتى كما نقولوا ماش باش تلقى 15 ولا 20 observation ولا ريبونس اكسيتيرا. من بعد كي نحكي له minimum 30 observation surtout احنا كي نحكيو على quantitative regression how it's possible that you collect data. تحكي مثلا you focus on companies برشا ولا banking يعني you will be trying to let's say to cover يعني the most important يعني based on the availability of data مثلا يعني you want for example just consider Tunisia you will consider for example emerging countries وإلا MENA countries وإلا European countries or whatever because for the sake of availability of information that you have the most possible data ولا information ولا observation about that country. That's for quantitative for example وقت اللي data it is available.
معناها
كي نحكيو على qualitative باش تولي نعم
قلت لك مادام معناها we can ask حتى مثلا نقولوا أنا investors هما اللي باش نبعث لهم surveys I can ask
يعني you have actually to vary the يعني the source of your data whether it is companies donc you will look not for Tunisia but also for internationals وبين سور أما باش تكون فما comment dire فما يعني فما concordance entre يعني ما نجمش أنا مثلا I merge data about for example Tunisia with US for example ما فماش هنا concordance علاش على خاطر USA is developed Tunisia it's underdeveloping يعني capital market for example في تونس it's not existing like يعني تحكي لي على the most developed يعني فهمت هنا يعني كي نحكي على نحب نكبر في الsample I will check locally but also other countries that are similar in nature. يعني احنا في تونس ديما we compare Tunisia with emerging countries in the MENA for example in حتى some European etc. but قريبنا في الكونتكست وقريبنا في الوضعية. Okay? Donc هذه حاجة. If it is as I said surveys or opinions or whatever you have also to try to collect information. So first of all you have to target the appropriate audience. يعني مش خاطر أنا نحب نكثر في observations وفي number في data that I collected that I will I don't know provide the survey or give the survey Maya please provide the survey for I don't know those that يعني أنا كش نسأل على Maya please باش نسأل على sustainability for example sustainability is prepared by the preparer يعني أنا I have to call نمشي للpreparers يعني ما نجيش for example I don't know investors can be of course some kind of investors that their opinion is relevant but if it is not that the investors that are willing to answer my research question يعني it cannot be the target and the audience I won't include them يعني it's not for the purpose that I have to increase the number of observation that I will ask anybody. This is what I want to tell, okay? Okay, then you, of course, try to have the maximum of observation, the maximum of data possible, but of course depends on your targeted audience. يعني شكون اللي هو you think it's more suitable to answer. يعني أنت مثلا في وظيفتك مريم تحكي لي على الاسsurance مثلا sustainability assurance. Donc obviously شكون يعمل assurance اللي هما les experts comptables ولا les comptables ولا les seniors whatever. Donc أنت الأودينس بتاعك هما هذوكم les experts comptables هذوكم ولا les ceux bien sûr اللي يخدموا dans les cabinets d'expertise اللي هما يعملوا les missions هذوما. Donc you have to مايا عبارة بشي غادي اللي كنت سالو بعد عشان okay so please you have just to target the audience اللي انت you think it is the most appropriate to tackle your subject okay if for example أنا نرجع نقول راهو the way you will be structuring ولا doing يعني ولا the methodology that you will be adapting راهو ماكش باش تجيبها راهو من مخك sûrement you will be reading reference paper راهو هذه نرجع ديما نقولها you develop it يعني even your topic يعني وقت اللي you choose your topic because you read about it in based on really one let's say كيقولوا un papier de référence يعني انت there is a paper that is really attracted your interest about that topic because this paper also tackled that topic maybe from another perspective, you will be adding something on that paper, but this paper will be, let's say, as I said, the basis for your work. دونك انت باش تحاول تعمل كيما عمل وتزيد عليه يعني بدما مش باش تنقل عليه برك خاطر if it is just replication it is not really work that you will be doing. Okay, دونك هنا please يعني باش انتم تقرروا قديش number of observation what will be made, I don't know, the sample selection method or a criteria or whatever. You have to read about your subject and try to see what was done also in previous works. Okay, so that's why it's important that you read and then of course see how it is possible يعني based on the availability of data of information of the context etc. Okay, so هنا راهو ما يتقررش هكاك يعني you have first of all to read to see what is your context, how you will be addressing that. Can you will be, I don't know, يعني prompted to also collect opinion from investors, etc. Because you think that also investors can answer your research question, then you do, in addition, of course, to the preparers of financial information, to the, I don't know, professional accounting professionals, etc. So it's up to you to see, of course, what is your sample selection criteria. Okay, Mariam.
Okay, thank you, madam. I have actually other questions من سيرين زادة خاطر سيرين ما جاتش معانا. قالتلك شنو هو ال tolerable level of plagiarism اللي معناها تقبلوه. منعرفش اسكو به وعندها زادة أسئلة اللي هما regarding the presentation مش ال PFE مش ال report معناها.
Ça pour le plagiarisme, moi généralement يقول لك entre 15 à 20% c'est acceptable, ما نفوتوش.
فهمتك.
Entre 15 à 20%.
باهي.
Ok. Ou généralement c'est 15% c'est limite يعني honnêtement يعني. فهمت؟
اوكي.
Voilà. And be careful regarding using the artificial intelligence خاطر
توا وليت
facilement.
اي مادام توا وليت ناس كل تشات جي بي تي.
Oui, bien sûr. Donc c'est intéressant. احنا بدنا كنا on est un peu impressionnés, mais n'empêche là c'est limite et surtout c'est facilement détectable. يعني أنا بدي هاني نجرب حتى لي أنا pour un papier جربت بيه وبعديك 80% artificial intelligence طلعت يعني c'est normal. Donc ça c'est facilement يعني détectable. Donc faites attention. راهو you can of course تعاون بيه مش مشكلة. أنا راني بالعكس أنا شوي pour la technologie. C'est pour أنك you will be trying for example I don't know to widen your scope to try to find I don't know حتى façon d'écrire etc. أما you have to paraphrase, you have to adjust and you have to be careful about of course the plagiarism خاطر once we detected راهو خدمة الكل بيضيع لك نبرسك يعني you will be doing again and again حتى لين خدمة تتصلح وتولي بريزنتابل. اوكي
باهي مادام regarding ال presentation مش ال report معناها
أي.
قديش معناها لازم طولها ال final presentation هذيك قديش من slides وشنو نحطوا فيها من
أنا باش نقول لك قديش عندك وقت وانت دبر راسك. you when you will be of course in the defense day you will have 15 minutes to provide to present your work. اوكي دونك نقولوا 15 وبعدنا 5 دقائق ناخذ جينيرالمون ناخذ احنا اكثر 5-10 دقائق for discussion. اوكي دونك احنا الكل باغ étudiant ما نفوتوش نورمالمون 30 minutes. Bon, it depends of course on the subject but ساعات discussion تطويل تقصار etc. دونك mais en moyenne you have 15 minutes to present. دونك يقول لك 15 minutes دونك انت عندك I don't know 15 to 20 slides اللي هو زي راهو structure ولا organization will be the same as your let's say يعني dissertation. يعني you will provide an introduction فيها باش تحكي لنا على context motivation for research question and will be maybe illustrated يعني with graphs with I don't know. بعديك you will be كيف تعطيني literature reviews زي quickly ولا حتى مش حتى يعني literature review but of course what was done يعني conceptually regarding your topic بعد your methodology your results and conclusion. يعني هو the same content but of course it will be much, of course, summarize it, illustrated via graphs, via tables, etc. It will make it, of course, possible to present and, of course, discuss in 15 minutes.
Okay. Good. Madame زاد regarding الجوري معناها اسكو are they all accounting professors وإلا فما minor professors باش يكونوا حاضرين؟
لا
وقديش طول ال Q&A معناها متاع البروفيت بعد
شنو
Q&A ال questions and answers معناها بعد ال presentation قديش طولها ال Q&A هذيك؟
الجوري members they are of course accounting يعني faculty اوكي يعني الميجر نتاعك هو اللي باش يكون حاضر في الواحد. دونك احنا نورمالمون نعملوا ديما فما ثلاثه. دونك si tout va bien donc il y aura un président de jury فما الرابورتور دو رابورتور. دونك انت باش يكون نورمالمون لونكادرون نتاعك ومع زوز اخرين داكوغ. يعني اون جينيرال ليتيديون عنده لونكادرون نتاعو دو زوتر وبين سور كان يحبوا جماعه بين سور انترشيب عملوا الحق ما جاوناش بون كي يحبوا يجيو مرحبا بيهم نبعثوا لهم ديزانفيتاسيون ولا انتم فوزانفيتي يجموا يجيو يحبوا يجيو يحبوا ما يجوش. دونك هذيك حاجه تخصهم. مي احنا جينيرالمون عندنا الاكاونتينغ فاكولتي نتاعنا اللي هما باش يكونوا يعني اون جينيرال اون ا دو in addition of course to your supervisor. اوكي دونك هذوما يكونوا ثلاثه جوريز. بعديك في الديسكسيون فات راهو are not limited يعني ما نجمش انا نحكم عليه الجوري قداش باش يسالك. راهو تنجم تلقى جوري ممبر يسالك 2 3 كيستيون باغ اكزومبل يسخا ساتيسفي دو خدمتك دو تي ريبونس سا ساريت لا. وفما ان جوري اللي ينجم يسال حتى 5 6 كيستيونات ولي ديسكسيون طوال معاه وفما arguing و وات ايفر. اوكي دونك احنا بيان ايفيدامون كيما قلت لك احنا ديما وي تراي تو كان حتى سورتو كي يبدا نهار مثلا بيزي داي ولا حاجه دونك وي تراي تو consecrate let's see كيما قلت 30 minutes en tout pour chaque défense. But this is in theory يعني en réalité avec l'expérience généralement on dépasse يعني généralement chaque étudiant يخدمنا quand même ساعة ربع. Donc هو يبريزونت donc sur la discussion délibération etc. donc ديما généralement ناخذوا هكاكا donc par chaque étudiant ساعة ربع. اما pour les jurys كيما قلت لك راهو depends راهو all jury members يعني can ask questions even supervisors. يعني question 1 2 3 4 question 5 يعني bien sûr هو as much inquiry as the jury member يعني has يعني he may ask the questions and of course he will be answering it depends on the discussion and of course how the flow of all the defense of course will be يعني بتاعات اللي قلت لك فما خدمه غلطه فما تلبيس فما خدمه باهيه فما انسر خايب يعني راهو كل ديفانس و its circumstances يعني على ذلك انا ديما نقول you have to accept criticism from juries يعني in particular وقت اللي sur la forme خاطر وقت اللي كي يعطي دي commentaires sur la forme راهو ils sont pas des choses que vous allez répondre sur la forme vous répondez pas يقول لك راهو عملت هكا حاجه غلطه راهو il faut faire ça sur la forme تقولوا it's okay it's noted نصلحها كل سواء في الرابور هذا ولا في any future report that I will be for example preparing. كي نحكيو على الكونتنت هنا باغ اكزومبل وقت اللي يسالك على دي كيستيون بارابور what you did your methodology ولا your definition ولا I don't know your results or whatever of course you have of course the right to answer and of course كيما قلت بعض ساعات لو كان تنجم حتى حاجات انت it's out of the scope ولا ما تعرفهمش ولا واحد يعني you simply say I don't know ولا sorry I will, for example I didn't for example proceed in that way I will do it or I don't know I acknowledge that shortcoming I will do it of course نصلحها next ولا anyway يعني you have to just acknowledge your shortcomings وقت اللي انت it wasn't possible for you to tackle that ولا you are not aware about that ولا you don't know it ولا whatever ما تقعدش يعني تحاول تلقى في دي زارغومون هكاك فارغين وكاو دونك باش ما تطولهاش الديسكسيون باش ما اوسي ما يكبش اوسي الجوري. اوكي
باهي مادام انت قلت لنا باش معناها يعملوا كومنتس على الفورم انا نحب زاد نسال شويه كويشنز على الفورم وكل شيء بتاع الريبورت في شنو التنسز اللي we use في الانترودكشن وحتى في الابستراكت معناها شنو يعني شنو التنسز
that's a good question. به هو احنا من جنرال كي نكتبوا بالpresent tense وسورتو only in the conclusion actually خاطر it was already done فهمت. والا باغ اكزومبل كيش تحكي على prior works فهمت تحكي عليها مع بالpast tense. باهي سلام نكمل نمشي الاول. دونك مريم دونك عندك généralement donc you have to use يعني the present ولا the past depends of course on the circumstances. donc خاطرك تحكي على prior papers prior work prior literature دونك هنا généralement باش تستعمل past tense. كي باش تحكي انت على خدمتك bien sûr what you are doing etc you define you etc donc this present. conclusion بتاعت تجم فيها mix of present and past. But what is important اللي هو you have to use the active voice. Please avoid the passive voice. راهو it's not appropriate for writing academic ولا scientific dissertation whatever. Okay. donc هنا active voice present past هذاك الميكس بيناتهم من depends. but of course راهو please يعني وقت اللي باش تستعمل فيها باراجراف present ما تدخلش بعضها ب present و past etc يعني you opt for one of these okay tenses. حاجة أخرى كنت نقول أنا بارابور أي surtout please راهو الإنجليش هو وأنتوا تبكر عليكم مانيش أنا باش نحكي على الإنجليش متاعكم والفلوency but راهو في الإنجليش وقت اللي نكتبوا we write it's not like French نجموا نكتبوا des phrases اللي هما كي سيتالا 3 lignes ولا 4 lignes والفرنسي يحب انك يعني comment dire طول والا donc جملة طويلة. en anglais راهو we appreciate a lot that the sentences will be really concise short يعني حتى في باراجراف تجم تكتب باراجراف في باش كاملة mais l'essentiel انك فما حتى كان الباراجراف يعني ça veut dire la même idée elle se développe mais avec des short sentences تتعدل السنتنس تتعدل السنتنس اللي بعده وانت ما زلت you are developing the same idea. no problem with that. بالعكس it is highly appreciated that you use short sentences concise sentences to develop your ideas within one paragraph. يعني انا عندي السنتنس ما يلزمش تفوت ستار ونص ماكسيموم راهو طولها ب 3 lignes اكسيتيرا راهو will be lourd برشا تضيع لك الكونسنتراسيون يعني ما توصلش اللي حاجتك بيه.
Okay, thank you, madam. I have just other questions اللي هما are colors allowed في الريبورت معناها مثلا to color the titles ولا subtitles وزيد what are the minimum of pages للريبورت الكل what are the minimum number of internet-based references و academic references ونمبر زادة of figures وإلا كيف تحطوا tables وإلا أي حاجة معناها to include what is the minimum number allowed وإلا اللي أنتم تحبونا نحطوهم معناها.
صار pour les couleurs généralement احنا يعني في التكست ولا التايتلز والسبتايتل ما نحطوش généralement c'est toujours le black يعني we use black يعني ما فماش يعني colors. but of course if you will be I don't know providing graphics ولا donc des illustrations graphiques etc it's possible of course this illustration will be of course يعني in different colors okay. mais généralement les tableaux ولا donc tout le writing the titles subtitles etc باش تكون in black يعني مش نحكيش على الكفر بيج الاولى هذيك كذا تدرسكم فيها mais à partir de l'abstract ou table of content or whatever everything in black of course except as I said فما graphics ولا فما some illustration هذوكم كل تستعملوا par exemple pour ولا dish chart for example I don't know يعني هذوكم it can be of course possible خاطر we will be providing I don't know different types of information within that illustration that graphic designs etc donc هنا of course it is appropriate to use the colors okay but not for writing ولا for subtitles ولا for titles okay. حكيت length of the report أنا généralement ديما نقول راهو it's acceptable that you will be providing let's say between 25 to 35 pages okay. فما some reports it will be exceeding exceeding زيادة ما تفوتش 50 خاطر it will be really heavy to read heavy even حتى for you خاطر قد ما تطول برشا قد ما زاد حتى لي كيستيون لي criticism باش يزيدوكم يعني هو at this level يعني هو خاطر احنا ميموار دو ماستر كمان في 70 80 باج دونك انتم كمان سينيور بروجيكت ما تفوتوش زاد راني قلت دونك 45 باج باهي هكاك فهمت 35 اوسي اكسبتابل بون اقل من 25 باش تولي شويه زاد خاطر بالحق تولي باكلي وماهيش خدمه كمان انتريسون دونك en moyenne, as I said, donc les trentaines, 30, 35, 40, donc ça va. حتى 25 ça peut être acceptable. It depends of course on the work and of course on the information that you are providing. ما تكونش bien sûr برشا redundancy ما تكونش هكاك juste بلا بلا بلا. Donc le content هو اللي باش تتحكم فيه انت وبيان سور السوبرفايزر نتاعك وبيان سور le contrôle. Alright. Donc كيما قلت please, what is important also is that if you are structuring in chapters or sections or part, you have to provide balanced. يعني ما تجيش بارتي فيها 10 وبارتي فيها 20 باج par exemple. يعني donc باش تكون 10 الاخرى 13 ولا الاخرى 12 الاخرى 15 etc. donc فما quand même balance between parts. donc ما تكونش ولا واحده 8 والاخرى 10 اوكي اما مش واحده فيها 3 4 باج والاخرى فيها 10 donc you have والاخرى فيها 15 donc no you have to provide balanced parts. يعني هذيك يمكن الحاجة اللي we require but of course يعني the length it depends of course on your work كيف راو tables ولا graphs ولا donc illustrations you have to use as much as you need يعني as you think it is appropriate or relevant for your study يعني for your thesis يعني ما فمش limit يعني فهمت كان باش تحق for example you insert I don't know 3-4 tables ولا 5 you have to do يعني you have a table for example about I don't know your internship for example company table about the sample I don't know table about I don't know literature review يعني خاطر احنا we appreciate وقت اللي you make a literature review بعدك تجيني مثلا تعطيني summary في table you are contrasting for example some I don't know definitions in table يعني it is actually important and relevant summary of some parts of your work يعني it is appreciated يعني هو depends يعني what you include actually what you include depends on your topic on how you tackle that topic and how you think it's relevant it is interesting of course to provide that organization or that content okay donc ما فماش limite نتاع nombre de tableaux ولا nombre de table of content etc of course يعني avoid to overwhelm also يعني مش باش توصل زاده تعطيني حاجات اللي انت باش تغرقني بيهم aussi فهمت دونك of course to the limit possible اللي هو قداش ما عرفتش انا think you احنا باغ اكزومبل في تيز نعملوا حتى 12 16 باغ اكزومبل تابلو مش باش تعمل انت في مينيسينيو بروجيكت 12 16 تابلو aussi دونك ça peut être انا 4 5 3 2 حتى كان ما تحطش دي تابلو aussi مش معناتها راهو باش tu seras peut-être يعني comment dire يعني مش باش نعاقبوك على خاطر ما حطيتش حتى تابلو حتى كنت تصير لك كومنتير ولا غيره maybe preferable it was appreciated that you will be I don't know comparing ولا making tables or whatever but still as I said يعني هو you have to choose of course how to present and tackle your subject if you think tables will be providing really good summary synthesis يعني synthesis باهية what you for example develop it in one section or one part please do of course tables will be providing results ولا samples ولا whatever please do okay, that's how you proceed okay what else
اوكي ثانك يو مدام انا سي بون سألت اسئلتي نعرفش كان نجمع
all the questions those of the colleagues it's okay
نعرفش كان فما شكون يحب يسأل توا اما انا
Yes, for me it's okay, ma'am.
هاي
okay good شكون ياخد please عنده questions please do now because we have to end that session Lilia I don't know Rami did I answer your questions did I don't know try to at least to clarify things what do you think ولا هذول اللي ما مشيناش just online وكاو
ليه اللي موجودين
okay all clear.
مدام جست باش نقول لك كنت نجم زاده تبعث لنا الجيد هذيك نتاع الرابور اللي وريتهولنا مع سلايدز وكل شيء. ورامي حسيلو قال لي يعني كنت نجم مادام تكتب لنا جست الويب سايتس هذوكم اللي يجيبوا منهم scientific papers باش جماعه معناها اللي ما حضروش ينجموا يلقاو لينكس وكل شيء.
باهي انا تركب لكم اساميهم they have to google them ويلقاون. ووقت اللي تلوش في جوجل سكولرز يعني حتى هو يخرجك للساينتفك هذوما داتابيسز. اوكي عضو اوكي تو نبعثها بليز نبعث لكم هنا على التيمز على هال
اوكي ثانك يو.
حاجه جوست ان كومنتير راهو البريفيوس ميبي alumni يعني بعدوا عملوا par exemple on l'a pas fait leur haka présentation etc. et donc on était un peu sévère mais quand même on a pris en considération les huma they didn't have this let's say quick seminar about methodology etc. now you already had all the information needed to draft, to elaborate, to prepare your dissertation and your defense. So expect that, of course, and if you get criticism or haja, because you already had all the information, all the way, of course, to and you were aware about how to proceed, how to draft, how to elaborate. Don't expect also that criticism may be more, let's say, sharp or whatever. Okay. So now you know, كما قلت, now you are already aware about how to proceed.
Thank you, madam. Don't be so hard on us, please. Thank you.
It's after all just the defense evaluation here, discussion, etc. It's not really, it's not punishment, it's an oral examination, but it's not like an exam, okay? Anyway, good luck. صار توا مازلنا في ليتام تاع préparation ولا l'élaboration بعد كده نحكيو على الديفانسز يجي وقتهم. اوكي allez bonnes vacances bonne journée ورمضان مبروك كل
رمضانك مبروك مدام.
au revoir merci علينا الكل.
سلامة.